Welcome, wonderful friends, to the Sunday Rune and Card reading. Today is a Lammas, well, in the Northern Hemisphere, it is a Lammas celebration. If you are in the Southern Hemisphere, you will be celebrating Imbolc. Both of these pivotal natural festivals that align with the magic of the earth and the cycles of the earth. Both of these festivals are associated with fertility in different ways. And so today we are going to be drawing on 3 symbols of fertility. All of these have come from my garden. So before I begin, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. If I have been slow during the week to respond to the comments from last week's readings, my apologies. It's a very busy time. Here in the UK, Lammas is a time where we are, of course, entering the first phase of harvest. So it's a time of promise. It's a time of fertility. Likewise, of course, if you are in the Southern Hemisphere, you will be starting to see the first early signs of spring, and therefore, again, promise, fertility. So these readings are going to be associated with that. Now, anyone new to my readings or my channel, welcome. I'm Jenny Florence. Those of you who are already a part of this amazing YouTube community here, thank you for continuing to support me, support my readings, and to support each other. As I said, my apologies if I've been slow to connect in with your comments. It's a busy time of the year as we start to move into the early stages of harvest. So, and actually I would add as well, those early signs of harvest are, of course, for me in my personal world, I'm actually adding the final touches to next year's Art of Manifestation Astro-Moon journal and diary. Now guys, we will be setting up, I said this in last week's readings, we will be setting up a pre-order page with a discount, and all the diaries and journals ordered direct from me, from us, the AZ of Emotional Health store. I'll be signing them. So next year's, if you want to get a signed copy, make sure you're on one of my email lists, because I'll send out to everybody regardless of which email list you're on, so you'll know as soon as they go live, or at least as soon as the pre-order does anyway. So in the meantime, let us start to tune into the additional guidance for each of the 3 readings. If you're new to me and my channel and my readings, if you already know from looking at the thumbnail at the beginning which reading or readings you want to tune into, the timestamps are in the information box below. If you are a phone user, the timestamps are in the comments, and I'll also put loads of additional links. So for example, if you're following the moon cycles and you're manifesting with the moon, I post every single day the position of the moon. If she's in a void of course space, that means she's in between the signs, and just a little bit about the overall astro energy of the day. So if you are following those kinds of things, tune into the Facebook page. I'll put a link there as well. Also, in terms of email lists, if you want to be on any of my email lists to get updates, I have a monthly subscriber draw here on YouTube. I give away a pack, a first signed limited edition pack of the Art of Manifestation Oracle cards, and I give those away, and a free private reading every month. If you want to be in that draw, I'll put the link to join our subscriber email list. You do need to subscribe and be part of this amazing community. I want to say, why wouldn't you, actually? And I don't mean that in a sort of a, oh wow me kind of way, but actually just check out your, check out the family here, because that's what it feels like, a YouTube family. I look at the comments and I just listen to the integrity and the support that you give one another, as well as to me. I mean, you guys really are amazing. So big, huge thank you. The energy collectively that we can put into the world, in terms of holding integrity, holding the light, navigating life to the very best of our ability with consciousness. I mean, guys, collectively, the more that we join together and the more that we radiate this kind of energy, the more difference will radiate into the world. Whether we directly see it or not, it doesn't actually matter. It's about our intention. And actually that's about pushing promise and perspective, that's the right word, prospective fertility into the world at large. So our readings very much tuning into fertility promise. Now, reading number 1 is going to be connected and guided to the energy of calendula. Now, this is also known as marigold. It's actually associated with the Virgin Mary, with cleansing, with healing, with rebirth, with renewal. So very much about promise and fertility, but through a purity and a cleansing and a healing. So calendula, very gentle, very, very, very gentle, even though despite the colour of orange, very gentle, kind of watery, very Mary-like energy. Reading number 2 is going to be guided by apple. As you can see, these literally are apples that are in their early stages of harvest. We're not there yet, but this is a tree that, since I have lived here in my garden, has brought us apples every year with abundance. They are beautiful. And this was gifted to me. I always ask permission from a tree if I take a piece, and likewise with respect to any plants, we always ask. We respect all of life. Apple is associated with love. It's known as the tree of love. If you look at the sort of tree runes, apple is always associated with love, again, fertility. It's connected to Aphrodite, the goddess of love. So I always feel with apple, because of the kind of harvest, the nature of the harvest, it's very much about the kind of sweet fertility of, it's like an abundance of love, where love can flow through every aspect of your life. They do say if you are wanting to attract a soulmate, actually sitting with an apple tree, asking it to perhaps gift you a leaf, carrying the leaf around you, or using it in one of your new moon ceremonies where you are making new moon wishes to bring in love. Apple is a really magnificent energy to align with, to tune in with, but always, of course, we ask. And lastly, I have a piece of mistletoe. Now, this is a very, very magical new addition to my garden. Now, mistletoe is, as I'm sure you know, it grows on another tree. It requires a host. In this instance, it's not actually the apple tree, even though apple will actually look after mistletoe very well. But literally this year, mistletoe has arrived on a tree in my garden. Now, I do consider this very magical. The Druids always understood that mistletoe was a symbol of fertility, a symbol of forthcoming life. Now, we tend to associate seeing mistletoe in winter rather than in summer. We're here in the summer in the UK. But this has really started to sprout. There are no berries because they will come in the winter months, and no doubt we'll probably tune in with the energy again in one of the readings later in the year. But it's associated with magic, with good luck, with long life, and with good fortune. So I do consider this to be an amazing symbol of good luck, of good fortune, a real blessing to have literally started to sprout in my garden. I'm really, really thrilled. This I planted, this was here when I came, so it's quite interesting. Again, this is something I initiated. The calendula I planted myself. The apple was already here, established, a lovely, lovely energy of love, very central in the garden. And then we have mistletoe, a new arrival with promise, good luck, good fortune, managing transitions. So those are the kind of energies that we are bringing into reading 1, 2 and 3. All of them are associated with promise and fertility. But 1 through healing, cleansing, renewal. 1 through, the established bringing forth of abundance, of love, and connected often to relationship. And again, promise, love. Again, we have love, but it's that magical good luck, following your destiny, knowing you're on track kind of energy with the mistletoe. So wonderful, friends, let's draw cards. Again, you may know already which of the readings you're going to go for, reading or readings. I know for some of you it's more than one, but we will now draw cards and runes. Now, very much in alignment with nature, we are going to use the Crow Tarot first of all. And we will have, make sure these are in camera for you. Three of each, say 3 of each, 3 of those, and I'm going to use the Light Seers Tarot as well. Again, 3. We are then going to draw from, these are animal spirit guides. And I'm kind of hearing two, actually, for each of the readings, which is interesting, because often we tend to tune in with one animal, and yet two are coming through. It may, of course, be like a totem spirit, really, or more than one wanting to walk with us at this moment in time. Okay, and then lastly, we'll draw from the Art of Manifestation cards, and just the one. And finally, we're going to draw runes, and again, just one. Okay, so my wonderful friends, this is the time to tune into your intuition. See how you are feeling, whether you are drawn to one, two or three or more than one. You may want to pause the video just to sit with the energy of these and yeah, just see how you feel. I'll put up an image, I'll reorganize them for the thumbnail, and I'll put an image up for just a few seconds as well, a little bit longer, so that you can sit with that and tune into whichever one or ones are speaking to you. Wonderful friends, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you in the readings. Namaste. Welcome to reading number one with the wonderful healing energy of calendula. So our rune is the rune of separation, Othilla. Now this is interesting because it suggests that there is gain, abundance, promise, fertility, thinking of all the symbols of both Lammas and Imbolc. There is something to be gained, to be had, something that will come to you. However, what you're also shown with Othilla is that the way to achieve that is that we have to let go of something. We have to, it's almost as though the gain comes through the letting go. It's like sometimes it literally is associated with moving house. We let go of one property, we gain the next, as it were. We move away from one chapter of life, we move into the promise and fertility of the next. But we have to release something and let something go. So our rune of separation and the Mary energy of healing, cleansing, renewal, healing, rebirth. Let's look at our cards. So we have, okay, so we have the Five of Pentacles, Three of Cups in reverse. This is interesting. And the card of the Lovers. Five of Cups, two fives. Page of Swords, yes, Page of Swords in reverse. This is interesting. You're moving away from some kind of disappointment. You're coming through something and out the other side. But I feel like you're not, I want to say you're not quite there. You kind of are, but you're kind of not. I think you're fully aware of this because there's nostalgia here. Fascinating, we have two fives here. The fives are always a turning point for me. Very interesting, we have Giraffe Spirit, see the bigger picture. Wolf Spirit, turn knowledge into wisdom. This is about evolving, learning from your experience. Othilla, separation, and the card, you've done nothing wrong. This is really pivotal here with the rune of Othilla, of separation. And indeed the lovely healing, cleansing, rebirthing energy of calendula. So this card says, whatever has taken place was out of your control and out of your hands. This card asks you to let go of any feelings of guilt or personal blame. This was not your fault. You've done nothing wrong. I want to say exclamation mark. This is really speaking so loudly. I almost feel if I had a wall in front of me, I'd want to sort of graffiti across it. This was not your fault. You've done nothing wrong. It's as though you are having to heal from the, do you know, I want to say misdemeanors of others. Guys, for those of you that are tuning in with this, you will know what I mean, okay, when I say misdemeanors, okay? And It's a really interesting word, isn't it, misdemeanors? It's not part of my normal vocabulary, but that's what I want to say. It's what I want to say here. And you are being called to separate and move from something. Now, I sometimes do a bit of energy moving, cleansing, healing within a reading, and I may well do, because I want to bring the King of Pentacles into an upright position. It's as if, and this holds the key here to the moving through something, as does this validation. You've done nothing wrong. This was not your fault. There's been a division of some sort. If anything, I would say that there was some level of potential envy going on around you. You know, maybe you worked your guts out to achieve something, and you'd like to think, you know, I think we'd all like to think, if we're doing really, really well at something, that other people will validate that. But it doesn't mean that they will. You know, often they will just get up and, you know, that sort of rather underhanded, childish, adolescent, spiteful kind of want to say bitchy stuff that the school playground. That kind of bantery, jealousy, not nice, putting down, undermining stuff that goes on, that, to be honest, is actually incredibly damaging. Your success, what should have been your celebration, got kind of put down by people, and it was massively disappointing. It's really interesting. I remember listening to I think it was an interview with Ed Sheeran, who obviously is incredibly successful, and rightly so, incredibly talented, rightly so, brings his gifts into the world, and, you know, affects the lives of, you know, millions of people, I'm sure, you know, not even thousands, but millions of people in a really positive way. Music really sings to us at a level of soul. But in the interview, he really talked about how it's almost like people sort of see him as someone who was given it on a plate. And he said, you know, you forget the days when, you know, I was kind of, you know, busking on the street, didn't know where I was going to lay my head, was traveling, you know, hitching a ride, trying to get somewhere from anywhere. And, you know, he had to work incredibly hard. The fact that he has his success is amazing, but there are still people who will put that down. And it's all about envy. It's what tends to happen, I think, is that people who are envious, they probably haven't really stepped up into their own position. They haven't stepped up into their own fulfillment. They haven't reached their own potential. If a doorway was opened, they kind of chose to step down rather than step through it. And it leads to a lot of anger and resentment. So there's been a division in some way. I think you've worked your socks off. And when you reached a point when you should have been celebrated, I don't think you were. I think there was a massive disappointment because of the backstabby, not very nice stuff going on. Now, whether this was a group of people around you, whether it was an individual, whether it were work colleagues, you know, where you've striven to achieve something, you achieve it, and instead of the celebration, it gets put down or undermined. There's that flavour here. Page of Swords in reverse in this pack, always the shadow side of this card. You know, really, really interesting. People who step down rather than step up. And it's left you having to sort of almost grieve something. It also left you, I think, with quite a lot of self-doubt. It's like this kind of backstabby stuff, because it's below the belt, and it's very often you pick up on it, but it's not being said directly to you, so you therefore can't actually do anything about it. Again, it's that underhanded, behind the back bullying, and it really, you know, it's so damaging. And that's what I'm seeing. Just at the point when you should have been celebrating your success, your choices for the next phase or stage of your life were then impacted on by this kind of underhanded, below the belt stuff. Now, you are being asked to see the bigger picture here. And I know that that's really hard if you are in a place where, because this kind of stuff leaves emotional scars. I mean, I have real personal experience of this. I know what it's like, whether it's a family member, somebody narcissistic in the family who couldn't bear for you to shine, whether, as I said, it's a work colleague, sometimes even a partner kind of would rather they kind of want you to succeed, but they kind of don't, because they're insecure and they're afraid you might grow out of them. I mean, actually, you might have been very willing to grow with them and have them with you, but there's just something of this dynamic here. Your choices were then coloured. What we are being asked within this reading is, for some, it's literally moving away from a kind of group or a somebody or a circumstance that has been previously limiting your horizons, when really your choices should be about stepping up and shining. For some people, there's still that sort of, gosh, maybe they're right, or maybe I'm not good enough, or, you know, you've been undermined. This reading is suggesting quite the opposite. See the bigger picture. Recognize their stuff. It's not yours to carry or to be influenced by. Okay, see the bigger picture. For some people, there's a real separation in real terms right here and now. For others, it's a separation from living through the lens of that experience. It left emotional scar tissue. It's left you feeling despondent, disappointed, really saddened by the way people behave. Actually use that, turn knowledge into wisdom. Use those experiences to teach you. I mean, I'm already seeing you've chosen a different pathway, but it's left some of you feeling quite isolated. And for some of you, you're either leaving something behind, or you did, and you may even have lost a lot in terms of, you know, this is associated with real property. You may have left stuff behind. Recognize that, you know, the quality of life is not, no amount of stuff is worth a quality of life if you're targeted. You know, that's not okay. You send love, you move away, but sometimes we move away in relief to get away, and the emotional scar tissue is still there. There's healing, there's grieving, there's cleansing. It's time for a rebirth. That's what this reading is saying. It's a real affirmation. You didn't do anything wrong. What you did was to strive to be the best you could be, and rightly so. The lack of validation was not your fault. It was the orientation of the person or people or circumstances or environment around you. Now, I'm not going to write the energy of the Page of Swords here, because we know what that is. This is the bullying, the backstabbing, the gossiping stuff. And this is right. It's right that you grieve. It's right that you weren't celebrated. Not that you weren't. It's right that you grieve for the lack of celebration. But I am going to write this card because I'd like you to shift to a place not only where you celebrate, but you invite people into your world who can celebrate with you. I'd like your choices to be now made from henceforth into a space of promise and fertility for a new cycle of life, a new chapter of life, to be built on the foundation of knowledge and awareness. And there's a lot of promise here. King of Pentacles, I mean, this is a card of abundance. This is a card of, you know, this is someone who is patient, they have determination, they've lived life, and they therefore achieve on the basis of their own actions, their own integrity. So we're going to shift this. I'd like to see an ownership of the celebration and an ownership of your entitlement, despite the kind of the gossipy stuff, okay? So I think what we will do, if you can just pause for a moment, listen to your body, really hold on to the affirmation here. You've done nothing wrong. Yeah, whatever took place was out of your control. You are not responsible for the actions of others. You can't change what people do. All you can do is learn from it, grow from it, and if necessary, send love and walk away. Separate from it. Whether you separate from it in terms of managing your life with very clear boundaries around these kinds of people, or whether you actually move away altogether. In fact, actually, I'm going to talk about a grading tool. Now, for those of you that are new to my work, my readings, I have a huge library, an online library, the A to Z of emotional health. I may be able to bring that up on the screen. Let's just try that. Yes, www.azemotionalhealth.com. So this is a huge online resource. There's tons and tons of information to help you to process and navigate with greater emotional awareness and psychological awareness. I worked as a counsellor for over 28 years, and what I'm going to do is give you a tool. here that I used to talk about and teach almost, I guess, to people I was working with on a one-to-one basis. Now it's called a grading tool. So I'd like you to imagine a line, okay, from one side, from let's say from wherever you are sitting. In this instance, I'm going to go from me to the top of the reading here. There's a line. But I often used to say, if you're sitting in a room, look at the corner opposite you and imagine a line between you and that corner. Every single person in your life is on that line somewhere, okay? Now, some of those people are quite close to us by default, like, for example, your family members or your neighbours, for example. You may not have chosen your particular neighbours, you know, whether consciously or unconsciously we might be drawn to people, who knows, but we're not. Your neighbours are there simply because they are in your life. You come across them because they live next door to you. How close you keep them to you, yeah, how open you are to them, the closer they are on that line, the more open and available you are. The further down the line, the less information you share. So it's like moving from those who are really close to us here, who we are very, very intimate with and we share ourselves with, to those who are just acquaintances, okay? Most of the time we can have all those people on our line, they land on the line, but we don't necessarily grade them according to our actual experiences. In fact, very often we welcome everybody in, really, really close to us. And then as we then get to know them, and indeed sometimes we're disappointed when we discover that they're not the person we thought they were, we're then sort of having to squeeze them out and move them away a little bit because we've let them in too close. The key, of course, to healthy discernment is to bring people onto our line and to take time to check them out, and then we allow them closer and we open the doors to trust and intimacy on the basis of real experience, as opposed to we welcome people in and then we try and squeeze them out because they're behaving badly. These boundaries are your choices, you know, and as children, again, people are in our world. We don't have that choice. As adults, we do. We don't have to share everything with everybody. So the grading tool is a really interesting way of thinking about where everybody in your world is on your line and whether they are in the appropriate place or not. You know, your neighbour, you could have one neighbour who's up here and one who's down here. And that would be based on your real experience. So that's appropriate. You could have family members who are very, very close, who you spend your life trying to establish boundaries with, in which case they need to be moved further down the line. You share less with them. You're thoughtful, mindful about how you navigate around them. You're more conscious of the language you use, which means you're taking charge of your own boundaries. So I hope you get the gist of it. I mean, I could talk a lot more about this, but that's what I call a grading tool. It's an incredibly valuable exercise to do, because sometimes we realize that we are letting people far too close who really we don't want terribly close, and we haven't taken charge of our boundaries. We've let them in because they're there by default, and we've never evaluated appropriately. So this is really a lesson in awareness with everyone in your world. Indeed, there may be some people you want to take off the line and put them somewhere else, send them love and walk away. So it's really about evaluation, awareness, and therefore being able to then make kind of conscious, mindful decisions as to how you navigate. So I hope that that is helpful, little piece of stuff. And now let us sit with this, because I feel like there are people far too close who shouldn't be. Okay, or either that or they have been, and the emotional scar tissue is still a little bit raw. So we are looking at healing here. So first of all, I want to validate. So sit with the reading as it is, the cards, and listen to how it feels. And we're going to work through this and create some energy shifting. I'm going to bring this down a little bit. Okay. Now, the first card that I am going to write is this one. So you've worked really hard for something. Yeah, you deserve to be celebrated, even if these people couldn't celebrate you. Okay, it doesn't mean that you can't celebrate you. We want you to take charge of the circumstances in your own life. Let go of anything you need to let go of. and celebrate, so that your choices then come on the foundation of your true and very well-earned success, as opposed to, I can't really have this because I'll get put down kind of stuff. So I'm going to bring one of the calendula. Lovely, that's beautiful. Lovely healing energy. You don't have to listen to this stuff. We're aware of it. We turn knowledge into wisdom. It helps us to really understand where people are coming from and how to grade them appropriately. So we're going to celebrate you. Oh, that feels good. I actually really felt that shift right in the pit of my stomach, in my solar plexus. Really interesting. It's like I almost feel like one of my chakras got cleared. It's like a block got cleared. So let's have a lovely flow of energy. This is understandably disappointing, but you're not in charge of what other people do, but you can be in charge of yourself. And you don't have to let this affect your choices in the present. That in turn means you see the bigger picture. You can even thank them and lean into a space of gratitude and appreciation for the learning they brought you. You know, that's okay. You know, sometimes our greatest, the people who create the greatest challenges and difficulties for us, ironically enough, bring us our greatest growth and learning. On the basis of this, I would like to write this card. It's time for a conversation with yourself. King of Pentacles. Patience, determination, progress. Turn knowledge into wisdom. You may even find yourself being able to write about this scenario one day, or to share it with people one day in a way that will allow others to understand themselves better. A bit like my grading system. That was something that came to me, you know, predominantly not just from people I was working with, but within my own life. That recognition that my boundaries were not good enough. I was letting all sorts of inappropriate people into my world and living with the consequences constantly, in fact. And so, you know, big life learning for me. So turn knowledge into wisdom, listen to your learning and do something with that in a way, you know, as I said, send them love, walk away. It's time to separate either from an actual circumstance or from the history of something, so you're no longer looking through the lens. It's actually time to step up into the promise, the fertility, the abundance through the healing and cleansing of your own potential, because you've done nothing wrong. Okay, it was not your fault. Okay, really clear on that. In fact, actually, I'm going to do even more than that. I mean, this is feeling so much better. I'm actually going to, I'm going to turn these over. There we go. It's in the past. No longer relevant to you. You won't forget, but you can box it away nicely if it pops up. Because somebody presses your buttons, that's fine. You know what it is, you know where it's come from, but you don't have to carry this any longer like a ball and chain. You know, and if someone made you feel guilty or that it was your fault, really, really put that down, please. Hold this affirmation. In fact, actually, even more. Sit with this again. I'm placing this here. That's absolutely how it should be, and we move the rune of separation, and that feels like a completion. Oh, wonderful friends, that feels like I can give out a lovely long deep breath and send you all the love in the world. This is a very, very powerful reading and really, really relevant to your future abundance, your future fertility, your future promise, and of you continuing on that pathway where you step and continue to step into the best and biggest version of yourself, with an abundance to receive as well as an abundance to give, but to the right people and in the right way. Wonderful friends, so much love to you. Namaste. Welcome to reading number 2 with the wonderful energy of the apple tree guiding us, you know, governed by the goddess of love, Aphrodite. Now, our rune is the rune of disruption. This is interesting. The rune of disruption it tends to suggest there's a need to break free from something, or it can sometimes literally mean that something happens to disrupt or create an interruption, but it's generally suggesting this is with purpose. It's rather like the energy of the planet Uranus, the Great Awakener. Something happens and it's actually there to create a window of opportunity in some way, but yeah, there's an energy of disruption around, or something not running exactly as smoothly as you might like it to. But I want to say there's always a bigger picture and always a higher purpose. Let's see what our cards are showing. It's interesting actually thinking of Uranus, the Great Awakener, because actually today our moon is sitting in conjunction with Uranus. So there's a lot of lunar energy associated with exactly this energy, the rune of disruption with Uranus, the Great Awakener, bringing potential sudden changes, disruptions, always creating a different avenue or a different route. Now we have the Three of Pentacles, Ace of Cups. This is interesting because this often indicates new relationships, new love. Three of Pentacles, we're at a stage of celebration here. We then have the card of Death, so there's a renewal of something taking place here, a new beginning. Again, Ace of Cups, new beginnings. Ten of Wands, in reverse, lovely. You're ready to leave something behind, you're ready to let go of something. Have you been worrying about something? I feel like you're on a really good foundation here. You're on a good foundation, and yet... And there's something around relationships here, the goddess of love, Aphrodite. It could be a stage in an existing relationship where you're expecting it to move forwards, or if you are in the process of manifesting a soulmate, it could be connected to that. You're actually on quite a good solid foundation here, or not even quite a good. There should be an element of celebration around you. Things are shifting and changing. There are new beginnings around. But I feel like you've been worrying about something. Maybe you've been worried about, I say worried about, if you're in a new relationship or you're calling in a soulmate, you may actually have met someone and be worrying about whether they're right for you, rather than actually just taking the time to discover. It's history that's in the way here. There's something there's either been a previous relationship or a previous hiccup in an existing relationship, and you're worrying about it. It's something that doesn't feel quite right. You just need to trust your intuition on this one, okay? Take your time. Slow and steady wins the race, okay? Make sure that everything is still in camera here. Our beautiful apples are taking up quite a lot of space. Spider Spirit, make your dreams real. This is all about manifestation, this reading. I'm going to move the apple up there a little bit and bring this card in here. We have the card of problems. This card asks you to view any problems as an opportunity rather than a crisis. Whenever we identify a problem, our very recognition and acknowledgement of this difficulty creates an opportunity to seek a potential solution. As long as a problem remains unseen or indeed denied, the doorway to a potential solution remains closed. Now, I'm kind of being shown different pathways here. So, what I firstly want to voice is that you are actually on a solid foundation. You've done the work. If anything, I think you've been spinning a lot of plates, and maybe you are addressing, there's some aspect of life-work balance that you're addressing. So I'm going to go with some of because different messages are coming through these different pathways. What is universal is you're on a solid foundation, you've done the work, and you are in a position where you have every right to celebrate yourself and this stage in your process of manifestation, whether this is calling in a soulmate, whether you are right at the beginning of looking for a relationship, but actually you're now ready to begin, whether you are in an existing relationship and you're ready to move it to the next stage. You are actually on a solid foundation. There's something about your own energy that feels good. However, things are not running, that they're not flowing. That's what I'm being shown here. It's like these different roads. I feel like there's more than one way to get to the final solution. which is quite interesting. There's more than one route, more than one possibility. You're definitely ready to address a life-work balance. The 10 of Wands in reverse, it can feel like a final hurdle. You've been doing too much, carrying too much, placing too much emphasis on something. And you're kind of addressing that. You're letting things go. You're rewriting the balance. And this is creating a space of new beginnings. So if you're in an existing relationship and you just almost haven't had time to really invest in taking that relationship further forwards because you've been too busy at work, the opportunity sits here for you to be able to move it forwards in a different way. You're creating space. You're also grieving and letting go of some of the past things from past issues, if I put them in that universal term. Past issues, whether from previous relationships or within an existing relationship where you're moving it forwards to a next stage. But there is a new beginning around you. If you are finding yourself, I don't know, let's say you're on a dating site and you're meeting lots of people and none of them seem to be quite right. Slow and steady wins the race. If things aren't moving forwards, you really are needing to trust. And it's almost like the universe saying, hold your course. If you're being given lots of different scenarios or situations, there's something being gestated here. That's what I feel. It's like you're on a solid foundation, but you've kind of yet to design the rest of the house. That's the best way I can describe this. And you're needing to make adjustments in the immediacy of your world in order to actually be able to manifest something and bring it forth. Now, if this reading is not speaking to you of relationships and it's much more to do with a creative project or even a working alliance, again, view any hiccups as an opportunity. Rather than a crisis. If something has happened that has caused you to have to press the pause button, or something is in the way of something, or something isn't, if your creative project isn't running smoothly, you're writing a book, you were in full flow, you got to the end of the first chapter and you thought, wow, you know, I'm really on a roll here, and then suddenly it's like you lost momentum and you're not sure what's going to happen. The next twist in the plot hasn't come. Don't worry about it. The energy of new beginnings, transformation and emergence is around you. Everything here is calling you to attend to your dreams slowly and gently, with a kind of, I want to say, a really positive outlook. Consider any disruptions as being part of a bigger picture. You are significantly in a process of making your dreams real. Now, the tree of love, apple, is all about fertility. It's all about promise. But it's, as we can see by I think that's what we're being shown here as well with the apple, they're not quite ready. It's like the seeds have been sown, the tree is even established, and yet something has to be nurtured that bit more in order to bring it to fruition. And whatever disruption, interruption is around, there's actually purpose to it. You're being given experiences that are going to fine-tune your dreams, the outcome of your dreams. You're also being given an opportunity to really, really learn to trust your intuition. Okay, so let's look at different ages and stages of manifestation here. That's what the pathways are that I'm being shown. So first pathway, you're literally right at the beginning of something, whether that's ready to start or embark on searching for a soulmate or starting a creative project. I want to say you've done the internal work and you are ready for this. You've been peeling back the layers. You are ready to take that leap, to trust again, to launch into a new creative process, to take that risk. You're there, you're on a foundation that is worthy of continuing with. The energy of the new is around you, and this is an ideal time to rebirth. There is a sense of gestation. It's like you're in in a pregnancy almost, and you're going to bring something forth, and the energy of the new is around. So creation is there, but determination, slow and steady, wins the race. You need to take this step by step. Whatever you are manifesting, I don't think it's going to just emerge. It's going to emerge after a series of steps in which you may need to take 1 or 2 diversions, but trust the diversions will be beneficial. So for example, if you meet someone and it turns out, or you meet several people and they turn out not to be the right person, you might find it's through those very meetings that you actually then meet the person you were trying to call in. Or if you're writing a book, the diversion might suddenly take you on a different route, and you might see something that sparks another twist or a turn in the plot of your forthcoming novel. It's that sort of flavour. Something is going to be, things are being shown to you with purpose. So don't lose sight of your dreams. Slow and steady wins the race, and trust any hiccups, delays, diversions are providential. Now, if next road that I'm seeing, if you're already on the pathway of something, and you've already started writing the book, you've already started building the house, you've already started the relationship, you're dating, but maybe there are disruptions, there are hiccups. Again, trust that the delays are providential. It may be that something is needing to be consolidated. Either way, something is being shown to you. Whichever way we look at this, your intuition is coming into this. And it's almost as though if you're rushing to see something, or rushing to get to the end goal, or rushing to meet someone, and the first person you meet you think they'll be the one, actually you're being shown steps along the way that are helping you to get clearer on your dreams. And you are also being put through a series of, it's like a process of learning to trust your intuition, to heighten your intuition, so that as you birth something new into the world, a new chapter of your life, a new relationship, a new creative project, whatever it is, you are building that not just on the perception of something that you saw, but on something that is far more in alignment with kind of like universal flow, just tuning into this either Imbolc or Lammas, depending on where you are. It's a time of promise, but nurture is required. If you're perhaps needing to adjust your life-work balance, that might be part of this. It may be that you are being called to really make space in order within your working life, to stop spinning so many plates, to put a few things down, to put some worries down that it won't work out. Again, to develop your sense of personal inner trust that the universe has your back, and you will be guided to actually bring your dreams into reality. Again, different pathway. If you are at a place where you're trying to bring a project to a completion, or into its fruition, it's like your book's ready to publish, but there's been hiccups and delays. If you are wanting to take a relationship, or even reunite for some of you with someone, you're wanting to take a relationship further, or you know someone and you really like them, but you're not yet ready to say something, and there's a little bit of anxiety around it. It's time to see that problem as an opportunity rather than a crisis, and noticing that will help you to develop your sort of almost intuitive. I'd like you to feel your way into the journey here, rather than calculate it in a mindset, goal-orientated way. This is about feeling your way through something in order for that something, that aspect of one of your dreams, to then emerge. But it is taking time. Slow and steady wins the race. Everything in this reading number 2 is suggesting that there are going to be, or there are already, hiccups, disruptions, delays, opportunities disguised as loss. And at every stage of this, you're being shown that this, whatever it is you're manifesting, is going to come forth. There is a sense of promise and fertility. The key here is the slow and steady, and also to recognize that any delays, any hiccups are simply taking place to show you or bring you some additional information, so that when you then follow your intuition, That additional information is feeding your intuition and allowing you to then manifest and birth something into the world, because the rebirth is here. The new dawn is here. It's just not immediate. It doesn't mean I'm not even seeing it being a million miles away. But yeah, it's like a pregnancy. You can't hurry it. You can't sort of conceive and then 3 months down the road think, oh, wow, I think I'll have the baby now, because that would be, yeah, that's what I want. I can't wait for 9 months. You have to wait for 9 months or however long before that baby decides to emerge. So there's something about co-creativity that's really coming through here, actually. It's like, yeah, co-creating with the universe, recognizing the universe kind of has the upper hand, and yet your wishes are being, and dreams are being heard. And yeah, so don't be impatient. Whatever you're shown, whatever you may need to break away from, it will be creating new windows of opportunity for you. Something is shifting here that's very big. It really is. There's something around you that is shifting. Whether it's an internal, I almost feel like there's a renewal at like a cellular level taking place within you. It realigns you with the universal energy of love. So any problems and hiccups, just process them. Slow and steady wins the race, and layer by layer, I want to say step by step, you will reach your goal. This is a lovely, lovely reading of promise, but it's, yeah, there's work to be done here. Internal work rather than external work. The external world will simply bring you the delays, disruptions, the information you need in order to make those adjustments so that your dreams become real. Wonderful friends, very powerful reading. They really are this week, just huge. So much love to you. Namaste. Welcome to reading number 3, and we have the rune of openings. This is out of darkness into light. This is clarity, finding your clear direction, knowing where you're going. If something around you has been sort of a bit fogged up or a bit misted, or you haven't been quite sure what the next step to take is, this would suggest the next step is going to become clear to you. Remember the lovely energy of the mistletoe. This is fertility, magic, good luck, good fortune. So a turning maybe in your fortunes in some way. Okay, so we've got the card of justice. This is a summing up. For me, this is always a card of gravity. It's kind of like there's a weighing something up. Decisions need to be made. There's a big decision to make here. You're needing to evaluate. Page of Swords in reverse. This is interesting because it would suggest, and King of Wands. For me, Page of Swords, it's that gossipy drama kind of card when it shows up in reverse. It's that sense of, I don't know, I think there could be an aspect of you undermining you. You know, the language in your head where you put things down, or you inadvertently put yourself down, or even you knowingly put yourself down, but you're still, you know, there's a negative train of thought around. You need to weigh something up, but weigh it up through positive eyes. However, King of Wands, this entrepreneurial energy, I'd also like to say, you know, again, this is like good fortune, good luck, long life. King of Wands, he's got that wonderful energy of stepping into our highest potential. I wonder if you are weighing something up for some of you that involves somebody else. And if that somebody else, they might be, I don't know, saying all the right things, but not, you know, are they going to actually step up into their fullest potential? You know, are they who they really say they are, or are they all kind of like all mouth, as the saying goes, all mouth and no trousers? There's something about that. So there's something about you're needing to follow something through here. There's something of a sabotaging energy around. Now, it could be you with your inner critic sabotaging you, when actually this is definitely the time to be moving forwards, or it could be someone else. Now, we also have 7 of Wands. Page of Wands in reverse. We're going to do some energy shifting too, because this is your creativity. This is a burst of creative energy. It's a burst of moving forwards, and yet someone around you is, I won't say holding you back. There's something currently holding you back. I want to say that it's unnecessary. And yeah, there's a lot of, there's huge, not even a lot of promise, there's a huge promise in this reading. So we have a card of compromise. Okay, are you in a situation where you need to make a compromise, or are you compromising too much? This card asks you to review your position and be sure to find a solution that takes the needs of all parties into account, including yourself. So there's something about navigating something, negotiating something, negotiating some kind of an agreement or a contract around here. Dream the world into being. This is lovely. And be generous of spirit. Okay, right, there's some kind of contract or something being negotiated here. Terms and conditions is what I feel is around you. We will do some shifting forwards. There's loads of promise here. There really is. I think that you're going to find the clarity of direction you need. It's just that I feel like there's a little bit of a fog. Now this is interesting because here we are. Northern Hemisphere, we are in Lammas. Southern Hemisphere, you are in Imbolc. Now, at these pivotal turning points in the year, it's as though the Earth pauses for breath, and there's a 4-day window of opportunity around these pivotal dates when we can, I don't know, lean into that pause. Okay, so if we're not sure about something, we hold off. And you know, there's a way of thinking about things that says if you're not sure of the way forwards, you know, then press the pause button and kind of sit on it for 4 hours before making a choice. Or if not, sit on it, and if it's still not clear, sit on it for 4 days, and if not, 4 weeks. But there's a feeling for me here of needing to pause and evaluate. This is interesting, 7 of Wands here, because this is like, I feel like you're needing to be guarded. In a way, there's a negotiation to be done, and yet you are needing to take, I want to say, look after your own interests. So here we have the Page of Swords in reverse. Sometimes this is the gossipy drama card. I think it's more that the negotiations that you're entering into, the decision you're making, it's the contract you're weighing up, whether this is a new contract for a job or it's a meeting somebody, a contract within a relationship. You know, if we think of even intimate relationships as contracts, we are, whether you're any aspect of your life that involves a negotiation here, just take your time. It's almost as if somebody would like to, I want to say, ride on the back of your own success. I'd like you to really seriously weigh up all aspects of this situation, circumstance, interaction. Be generous of spirit. Absolutely be generous. There is no need for you to be holding on to anything here. You're going to be moving forwards. There's magic around, there's good luck around you, good fortune around you, but there's something about being able to share that good fortune and yet not kind of be walked over either. You know, this is the key here. King of Wands. He's an entrepreneur. He can step into his highest potential. He kind of, you know, the crow sits on the lion's head. You know, the lion is, I want to say, tamed, but not through dominance, but through ingenuity, through integrity, through clarity. Whatever you are negotiating, if you're watching this reading, you will either know what I'm talking about already, Or if you're watching the reading and you don't yet know what I'm talking about, I think it's imminent. It's like I'm being shown like a bubble around me, which means for me that it's soon. There's something that's going to come into your world quite soon that has to be navigated, negotiated. It's a transformative process. Something's going to come forth, and within that space, yes, compromise, but don't over compromise. So yeah, everything is about navigating and reorganizing a process of, a contract is the best thing I can think of. There's basically a shift in your fortune, or there's an opportunity, a doorway of opportunity here that you can go through. I think it's a big opportunity in some way. It's a very, very big opening. You do need to make sure that somebody isn't riding on the back of your success, okay? There's a degree of protection, that bubble around you. It's quite imminent. Basically, there is a window of opportunity here that is going to create a space for you to, I think, step into the bigger, better, higher version of you. Now, you may actually be part of the negotiation, could be letting somebody go. Letting go of, it could just be simply letting go of the fog, letting go of the worry, letting go of the concern, so that you see clearly. You are being invited here, lizard spirit, dream the world into being. Lion spirit, be generous of spirit. There is generosity here. You have something worth sharing here. And whatever you are manifesting, bringing forth, whatever you are negotiating, whatever you are creating, whatever this pivotal shift is about for you, there are other people around you who would like a slice of your cake. Guard and protect yourself, and yet be generous simultaneously. You know, it's the drains and radiators scenario. If you think about assessing people as drains and radiators, some people are drains, some people are radiators. If you are a radiator and you meet another radiator, then it's win-win. You know, you're just going to manifest abundance together. You're going to radiate warmth, heat, generosity. But if you are a radiator and you meet a drain, that drain will absolutely drain you. The radiator will become drained and no more heat can be given off. So, you know, there needs to be thought about it. There's something around this, about somebody wanting to ride on the back of your success or wanting to benefit from you. That's fine. I'm not seeing that it's completely one way. It doesn't feel like a radiator drain, black and white, you know, situation. But there is negotiation. And from this, there's some aspect of your dreams that can actually come true here. It's like a doorway opens on the pathway to your dreams. But you need to be negotiating this transition. It's like, how do you walk through the doorway into this new chapter? That has to be negotiated. It's the terms and conditions of the entry point, almost. Yeah, I'm being shown a gateway. Yeah, it's interesting because it's quite a big gateway. It's got the gravity. It's like a stone arch, and you step through and it's a whole new chapter of your life, full of potential, full of abundance. So you need to be generous and thoughtful and considerate, but also really look after your own interests simultaneously. Now, I am going to do some energy shifting here, okay, because I feel that the card of compromise is really speaking to us in a big way. Now, there's quite a division in the reading, so sit with the reading as it is. We'll draw on the magical energy of mistletoe, which is about long life, good fortune, good luck, fertility. Let's bring that down. So sit with the cards as they are and listen to how they speak to you. Now, there is a weighing up. This is important. There is a weighing up, and you need to be mindful and thoughtful of the energy of those around you. This is appropriate, okay? I'm going to bring the mistletoe into the middle here. Okay, so this is really what's taking place either now or imminently. The mistletoe is the turning point, okay? Now, as long as this is negotiated well with thought and boundaries, okay, then I think the rune of openings creates a clarity. You get your clarity of direction. You get to step up and be the best version of you. We get to write the Page of Wands. We have King of Wands, bringing clarity, bringing, you know, that entrepreneurial sense of highest potential, investing in yourself, creative solutions, resulting in really, really good results. Be generous of spirit. This is what's needed. Compromise. In fact, I am going to bring the Be Generous of Spirit card over here. Okay, so be generous of spirit. Think about what you're doing and what you're bringing forth. This is a time for you to step up, to see where you're going. This is where we're going to sit these cards here. This feels like a nice realigning of the energy. Okay, in fact, I'm going to move the Rune of Openings here. This feels really good. Yeah, that feels right. It's really interesting as you move cards around. You find where they need to be in order to move the energy forwards. This feels like there's something, as I said, it's imminent around you. You need to be mindful of your own best interests, consider all the possibilities, and yet also be generous of spirit. There's something about giving with an awareness of your own needs as well. So there's something very healthy taking place here. We then have this, dream the world into being, the King of Wands. This is a time for you from this. You're stepping through this great big stone archway, if you can imagine that or see that. As you step through, there's a new chapter. It's like a landscape stretching out ahead of you. There is so much creative potential here, and you can share your good fortune. You can share your wealth and your good luck. Follow your dreams. You are dreaming the world into being. Actually, this rune just does need to be here. It really does. That's where we want it to be. This is your direction. It's almost as though the next chapter of your life is about to open for you. You just have to navigate this little intersection, and it involves navigating, negotiating, coming through in a way that suddenly firms you up. If you're somebody who's always been a bit of an overgiver, there's going to be a situation around you where you firm that up, and the stepping through the archway is a new chapter of your life where you can truly take an ownership of your own abundance. You can give generously to anybody and everybody that you wish, but you'll do so from a strong foundation because you're prepared to look after your own interests and fuel yourself as well. There's like this major lesson to be learned. It's like the stepping through this gateway is actually to do with that lesson of negotiation, in which your interests stand in a position of equality alongside the well-being and interests of others. And that creates an energetic turning point and a springboard for your world to then emerge in a way that you retain your giving nature, but simultaneously it's boundaried enough for your own interests to be nurtured and looked after as well. Yes, something is coming in a really powerfully positive way. There's an opening, a magic, a shift of fortune in some way, and it creates a window of opportunity for you, a gateway to step through, but you need to be very much the leader of, I want to say, those resources as they come to you. If we think of opportunities as resources, take charge of those resources and be thoughtful about how you share them. You can share with abundance, but you must always be mindful of your own interests and of your higher purpose simultaneously. Wonderful friends, so much love to you. I feel this is really interesting because there is literally, I feel like a new direction or a clarity of direction or a new phase of being that is opening for you. And it feels very big and very huge. So something is happening that really does create the basis of a new chapter for you. Really wonderful. We have beautiful butterfly has just landed on some beautiful nettles just outside this window, and they are in full flower. And I don't know what that butterfly is, interestingly enough. It's not one I've seen before. Butterflies, of course, are about transformation, and a butterfly at this stage in its development has reached its chapter of being the best it can be. you know, of that final stage of evolution. So something is coming through for you guys in a big way. It kind of, not only does it consolidate, but it opens up a new chapter, a new pathway. And it is big. The card of justice is always huge. So there's a real sense of strength and gravity here. Yeah. Wonderful, friends. Yeah. Honour this opportunity. Step into your own. Seize that empowerment to bring forth not only the best version of you, but to share that best version of you with the rest of the world. Wonderful, friends. So much love to you. Namaste.